Welcome to this introduction to FileFacets. FileFacets is a software platform built for information professionals. It provides functionality to clean, classify, tag, and migrate files from existing file repositories to SharePoint or an enterprise content management system. This video will provide you with an overview of the functionality provided by FileFacets and the impact that the platform can have on your information management program. The software was designed to walk you through a proven process, one that has been used to process over 150 million files so far. So let's dive in and see what FileFacets can do for you. From the central navigation screen, you can see that FileFacets is made up of a number of functions, starting with project management, through to content design, capture, file cleanup, classify, retention, pre-migration, and all the way to migration. We'll take a look at some of these functions in more detail. The content design function allows us to set up our target information structure. That's the information structure that we'll be migrating into either in the file shares, in our SharePoint sites, or in our enterprise content management system. The content design cubes allow us to design and interact with complex information structures. We can build out folder structures, metadata elements and values. We can group metadata, document our retention information, and the destinations where we would like the files to be migrated to. All of these various elements can be mapped into the folder structure that's developed so that we can assign destinations, our retention information, and our groups right into the root folder structure we'll be working with. The content design cubes provide a platform for working with multifaceted information structures and show the relationships between folders, metadata, retention information, and the destination to which information will be migrated. With our information structure developed in the system, we can move on to bringing files in using the capture function. The capture and migrate utility is downloaded to your system and then used to capture files for analysis within FileFacets, and then again to migrate files into SharePoint, a file share, or your enterprise content management system at the end of the project. With files captured from your system and represented in FileFacets, we can now move on to file cleanup and determine rules that will allow us to reduce your file holdings. File cleanup uses the concept of context to determine which files and folders within the source structure will be acted upon by our cleanup rules. In this case, we've created a context of admin and applied that to the administration files and folders of the source structure. Duplicate files are processed within the system by first selecting a context that we would like to apply the rules to. In this case, our admin context will apply the rules to the admin folder. Next, we select the action that we would like to apply for the duplicate rule. We can choose to keep either the oldest file or the newest file within a duplicate set. With duplicate files addressed, we can move on to cleaning up trivial files. Rules for trivial files can be based on file extension, the file size, or the age of the file. By using these file characteristics either individually or in combination, we can determine the exact files that we're interested in, and then by applying them to a context, we can apply those rules into the source structure. These simple cleanup rules allow us to simply and efficiently clean up the source structure, commonly reducing the overall number of files by 30% or more. If reducing duplicate and trivial files is the focus of your project, at this point you could move on to migration. By running the migration at this point, files that are identified as duplicate and trivial will be segregated from your core holdings and be placed in duplicate and trivial file folders for manual deletion or archiving. With the cleanup rules in place, we can move on to the act of classifying files. The Map Files and Folders function allows us to create virtual mappings from the source folder structure into the new target folder structure that will be used either on our file share in SharePoint or in our enterprise content management system. Files from the source structure can be mapped to the target structure by simply dragging and dropping one or multiple files from the left side of the screen to the right. This process creates virtual file mappings which can be reviewed by the project team or individuals from the business to ensure that the target folder structure as well as the individual file mappings are optimized for the business and the target system. As you work within the file mapping environment, you can use flags and comments to communicate with your team members and apply additional information to the file mapping. With file mapping complete, we can move on to assigning metadata to files. Metadata is assigned by selecting a file that we're interested in and then choosing from a list of default metadata values that apply to the elements that are required for that file, or entering a custom value. With metadata assigned to the files, we can now move on to retention processing. Through the alignment of retention schedules with the folder structure in the content design phase, disposition reports are created for each retention schedule, showing files that are out of date and eligible for disposition. Files approved for disposition can be removed from the migration process and queued in bulk folders on the shared drive for processing at a later date. With disposition processing addressed, we can move on to some final steps before migration. The pre-migration function provides the ability to rename files and remove special characters from file names that may not be supported in the target system. The last step of the process is migrating your clean, classified, and tagged information to SharePoint, your file share, or your enterprise content management system. Thank you for taking this time to walk through FileFacets. To learn more, visit FileFacets.com.